So welcome back to the Bhakti Sastri class. So we are discussing this book called as Nectar of Instruction. There's been a long holiday, I think. No? How many weeks? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
For Neera Prabhu, it's been much longer. Okay, so we will complete this book, Nectar of Instruction. We will do both the last 2 verses. So we have completed 9, no? So we finished text 10 and 11 today. So text number 9 talked about the hierarchy in terms of the holy dhamas. Of course, material world doesn't come at all, but it is said that superior to the material world is the spiritual world, superior, which is called as Vaikuntha. Superior to Vaikuntha is Mathura. Superior to Mathura is Vrindavan. Superior to Vrindavan is Govardhan. Superior to Govardhan, which is the highest of all places, is So Radha Kund has got a very special significance. In fact, it has got the highest significance for Gaudiya Vaishnava. So today we will spend time meditating on Radha Kund. We will do some kind of a mental parikrama of Radha Kund today. Text 10. In the Shastras, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge or jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to others. However, one who has actually attained prema or pure love of Krishna is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kund lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kund? And in a spiritual body, surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakat bhav, who will not render loving service to the divine couple, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes? Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Okay. So who wants to read? Shamchandra Prabhu. You have to be wistful, so you read to
At the present moment,
read loudly, huh?
at the present moment, almost everyone is engaged in some kind of fruitive activity. Those who are desirous of gaining material profits by working are called karmis, or fruitive workers. All living entities within this material world have come under the spell of Maya. This is described in the Vishnu Purana. Sages have divided the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into 3 categories, namely the spiritual energy, marginal energy, and material energy. The material energy is considered to be the third-class energy, Tritiya Shakti. Those living beings within the jurisdiction of the material energy sometimes engage themselves like dogs and hogs in working very hard simply for sense gratification.
Do you know anyone like that? Huh? Anyone knows anyone?
However, in this life or after executing pious activities in the next life, some karmis become strongly attached to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they are elevated to heavenly planets. Actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planets above the moon. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Punya
Shine Punyam Martya Lokam Vishanti.
After exhausting the results of their so-called pious activities, they again return to the earth, which is called Martyaloka, the place of death. Although such persons may be elevated to the heavenly planets by their pious activities, and although they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, they nonetheless must return to this planet when the results of their pious activities are exhausted.
Continue. Read a bit fast if you can.
This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. On this planet, we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis, or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis, people who act without the guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from God. In this way, they are elevated to higher planetary systems. Such karmis are superior to the vikarmis, for they are faithful to the directions of the Vedas and are certainly dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam skataiva vajamyaham. In whatever way one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. Krishna is so kind that he fulfilled the desires of the karmis and jnanis. Not to speak of bhaktas. Although the karmis are sometimes elevated to higher planetary systems, as long as they remain attached to fruitive activities, they must accept new material bodies after death. If one acts piously, he can attain a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Thus, those fruitive actors who do not care for Vedic directions are not appreciated by learned saintly persons, as stated in Srimad Bhagavad. Materialists who work hard like dogs and hogs simply for sense gratification are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of abominable activities simply for sense gratification. Materialistic activities are not at all worthy of an intelligent man. For as a result of such activities, one gets a material body, which is full of misery. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable conditions, which are concomitant with material existence. Unfortunately, fruity workers are mad to earn money and acquire temporary material comforts by all means. Therefore, they risk being degraded to lower species of life. Materialists foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. They do not stop to consider that they will live only for a certain number of years, out of which they must spend a major portion acquiring money for sense gratification. Ultimately, such activities end in death. Materialists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as lower animals, plants, or trees. Thus, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper buildings, big car, honorable positions, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life they will be degraded and that all their activities simply serve as parabhava, their defeat. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should therefore be eager to understand the science of the soul unless one comes to the platform of Atma Tattva, by which one understands that the soul and not the body is oneself. One remains on the platform of ignorance. Out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people who are wasting their time simply gratifying their senses, one may come to the platform of knowledge and understand higher values of life. Such a person is called a Jnani. The Jnani knows that fruitive activities will bind him to material existence and cause him to transmigrate from one kind of body to another, as indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam by the term Sharira Bandha, bound to bodily existence. As long as one maintains any conception of sense enjoyment, his mind will absorb in karma, fruitive activity, and this will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. Thus, a Jnani is considered superior to a karmi because he at least refrains from the blind activities of sense enjoyment. This is the verdict of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although a Jnani may be liberated from the ignorance of the karmi, unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, he is still considered to be in ignorance, avidya. Although one may be accepted as a Jnani or one advanced in knowledge, his knowledge is considered impure because he has no information of devotional service and thus neglects the direct worship of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a Jnani takes devotional service, he rapidly becomes superior to an ordinary Jnani. Such an advanced person is described as Jnana Vinukta Bhakti Parama. How a Jnani takes to devotional service is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Bhakunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvam Samahatma Sudurlava. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Actually, a person is wise when he surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna. But such a Mahatma, great soul, is very rare. After taking to devotional service under the regulative principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead, following in the footsteps of a great devotee like Narada and Shankara and Sanaka and Sanatana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then recognizes him to be superior. The devotees who have developed love of Godhead are certainly in an exalted position. Of all these devotees, the gopis are recognized as superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna, nor do the gopis expect any return from Krishna. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them in the extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis became most dejected and spent the rest of their lives simply crying in separation from Krishna. This means that in one sense they were never actually separated from Krishna. There is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with Krishna. Rather, Vipralamba Seva, thinking of Krishna in separation, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. Thus, of all the devotees who have developed unalloyed devotional love for Krishna, the gopis are most exalted. And out of all these exalted gopis, Srimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel the devotional service of Srimati Radharani. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took her position and appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to understand her transcendental feelings. In this way, Sri Rupa Goswami gradually concludes that Srimati Radharani is the most exalted devotee of Krishna and that her Kunda, lake, Sri Radhakund, is the most exalted place. This is verified in a quotation from Bhagavad Bhagavatamrita, as quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Just as Srimati Radharani is dear to the Supreme Lord Krishna, Vishnu, so her bathing place, Radhakund, is equally dear to Krishna. Among all the gopis, she alone stands supreme as the Lord's most beloved. Therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter of Radhakund and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Rupa Goswami in the 10th verse of Padeshambara.
What are points here?
Take shelter of Radha Kund. What does that mean?
Is that a question or it's a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll keep that question in abeyance for a moment. We'll come back.
Interesting, even though this verse is talking about Radha Kund, Prabhupada didn't start the purport about talking directly about, esoteric pastimes, Radha Kund and all that. It's starting about again from wrong basics. It's interesting. Even though the verse is completely different, Prabhupada's purport is focusing on basics rather than.
So let me see who comes to the key point. Why is this written in this book? This passage written in this book?
To the audience for the book.
Okay.
It should not be taken cheaply.
But for devotees? Huh?
It should not be taken cheaply. It should not be taken cheaply.
Okay.
We have to be reminded again and again that all endeavor what we do in this material world is temporary.
Okay, that's one of the points. What is the
Radha Kund
take the flow together.
After discussing,
What's the mood of Prabhupada?
Radha Kund is so
Hold on.
after discussing the hierarchy from a geographical point of view,
Okay.
he is now discussing the hierarchy from a people point of view,
Very good.
starting from Vikarmis to Radharani
Very
and
good.
in between.
Yes. Okay. Now expand further on that principle. So hierarchy of places is given. Now hierarchy of living beings is given.
So he starts with Vikarmis, and then Kalmis,
Yeah.
and then Jnanis,
Yes.
and then Gopis, and then
Missed.
Bhaktas. sorry.
What bhaktas? What bhaktas?
Pure yogis. I'm speaking about pure yogis.
What bhaktas? What bhaktas?
The inward ones,
What bhaktas?
Nishkam.
Pure is fine.
Sadhana.
Correct. What sadhana bhaktas? Vaidhi sadhana bhaktas. Then Prabhupada says spontaneous. Okay. So see the hierarchy. Okay. So the hierarchy of places and now the hierarchy of devotees is given. Then what?
Gopi.
Huh?
Then Gopi.
Then out of all the
under
those spontaneous devotees, the highest are
the Prema Bhaktas over the set of realm of gopis, and out of that realm he is keeping how Radha Kund was there with that hierarchy. Similarly, Srimati Radharani is here.
out of all the gopis, who is the supremest gopi? And therefore, because Radha Kund is associated with her, therefore Radha Kund is the most exalted. So in one sense, Radha Kund is exalted because Radharani is the most exalted devotee. Okay. So correct. Now you got the thing. So that is what is going on. Also, in other words, if you see, Radha Kund is not a place for what kind of devotees? For Vaidhi Sadhana Bhaktas at all. It is not a place for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhaktas. We will come to that point later. Radha Kund, taking bath in Radha Kund and residing in Radha Kund is only for people who have developed spontaneous loving devotion. Not for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhaktas. You're thinking, you're disagreeing or you're thinking or you have a question.
So what about Raganaga Sadhana then?
Yeah. Those are spontaneous, raga
Spontaneous.
yes. We have to have spontaneous devotion.
Because Vaidhi sadhana.
We need not be pure devotees. We, just like Prabhupada says, we need to be pure devotees. But one is who is doing Raganuga sadhana is almost there.
Because Vaidhi sadhana bhakti will lead us to
Yeah.
Raganuga, and then the goal of Raganuga is Radharani. So if we are, let's say, working towards that goal, right, so then eventually, at a point in time, everyone will be Radharani.
So will the environment not be conducive to...
So there is no disagreement.
So that means that Vaidhi sadhana bhaktas can also go and reside at Radharani.
Is that your opinion? Is that your wish?
More like a wish. Yes.
It's like saying everyone should get into IIT. What is this? JEE or not? everyone should get. Like that. It's almost like that. Okay. But unfortunately, it is not like that. Only if you have cleared IIT JEE, you can get into IIT.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So when we say that Radha is not for Vaidhi sadhana, that just comes.
Radha Kund is not for residing for Vaidhi sadhana. Okay, because Vaidhi sadhana, the very fact that Vaidhi sadhana bhakti means that we are still regulated in our worship to Lord Krishna. It is not spontaneous. Okay.
Aparadha also.
The chances of fall down are higher at this point in time. Because it's regulated, not natural love has not come. Now also, hands up, if spontaneously everyone thinks of getting up, everyone is burning to get up at 3:30 tomorrow and come for Mangala Arati. Isn't it? So there is no spontaneity. There is a service and then you will get bamboo next day. Therefore you have to get up. Or Bhaktivanta Prabhu will go for you. Where are you? What is this Prabhuji? Like that. So there is no spontaneous love that is there right now. So with this, we cannot go and reside in Radha Kund. Because in Radha Kund, there is no branch of National Australia Bank or Infosys or other companies where you can meditate on Radha Kund for some time, then you can make your money and you can balance your spiritual life and material life. What people say balance. So balance kuch nahi hai. There is only one thing, which is spiritual life. So our consciousness, is it ready? 24 hours can we sit and do bhajan? Not possible, because we need our what is it called as recognition and growth and whatnot. Then our position, respect. So therefore we are not ready to go to Radha Kund. Because Radha Kund is only for person who is completely akinchan, who has got completely exhausted all material desires. It is the highest place. Right? Also, Prabhupada is reiterating that because Radha, why is Prabhupada specifically talking about jnanis and karma? Because Radha Kund is a place for pure bhakti. Okay, pure bhakti is devoid of jnana, karmadi, anavriti. Okay, so Prabhupada is bringing that mood here. So it's not for people who are, Brahmavadis or what to speak. Karmis are nowhere there, but it's not even for Brahmavadis. Further on, it is not even place for reciting for Vaidhi sadhana bhaktas. And this was told by none other than Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur went there. Even he himself did not dip into the waters of the Radha Kund. He will only take drops and put it on his head, thinking himself to be unqualified to take bath. And Prabhupada said, taking bath in Radha Kund is only the prerogative of spontaneous devotees of the Lord. Even when we go, we are advised not to take bath. We just go and do that and dip our weed bags and come. Like that. So no taking bath. And of course, Prabhupada also, some people were sporting in Radha Kund, frivolous sports. So Prabhupada chastised them, saying that don't do all these things in Radha Kund. You can do it in, what is that? MZAC, swimming pool. But Radha Kund cannot be equated to that. You're playing volleyball and all that. Now, just now we went to Gold Coast last week. Not like that. You're playing in that, whatever, Miami Beach or whatever. Radha Kund is not that kind of water. It's completely place which is for spontaneous devotees. Okay, so Prabhupada is bringing that point out. Anything else spotted here?
Prabhu, so the karmis like who are mentioned, who are following the Vedic injunctions, which are little bit higher than the left, we go through the hierarchy. The karmis who are following the Vedic principle, and they are doing the pious activities following the Vedas. So there was some mention about that as well. So for those karmis, what is the place of Radha Kund? Because I'm talking in terms of in India, there are so many occasions you will see the Radha Kund is full of people from that particular day, and so it's more like karmic activity.
No. See, first of all, we have to understand that any activity, it becomes karmic or bhakti based on the consciousness, not based on the activity itself. Right? If your consciousness is to go and attain the heavenly planets and you approach Krishna, then you will attain the Krishna will bless you in that direction. Okay? Or he will direct you to the appropriate demigods. Like that. So, for Vaidhi sadhana bhaktas or anyone going to Radha Kund, it is an activity as part of our sadhana. Because as part of our sadhana, there is Mathuravas, which is there. So we have to visit the holy places and recharge our batteries. Okay? Because our batteries are completely gone, working in this corporate life, to the extent that our mind becomes dull to Krishna. Sometimes we think, oh, we are devotees, like that. We become so engrossed Monday to Friday that we have to remind ourselves that we are devotees. Though we are chanting, our chanting is mechanical. So we are not in Smaran. At least I am not there. Some of you may have very good sadhana, but we are not there in Krishna Smaran. We forget that we are devotees. We get very engrossed like karmis only. In fact, last week I was hearing a lecture of where Govind Prabhu was saying that we are all devotees, which I was sharing during lunchtime the other day. Karuna Avatar. So he was saying that we are devotees to the extent that we are meditating on the Lord. So we may be putting dhoti, kurta, tilak, etc. But if our consciousness is not on Krishna, at that point in time at least we are not devotees. We are devotees to the extent we are meditating on the Lord. So most of the time we are not meditating on the Lord, if you actually see. We are meditating on the Lord, more in office than during chanting. Because in office there is a lot of danger. Padam padam vipadam natesha. So we meditate on the Lord. The only time we don't meditate on the Lord is when we are chanting. Is it not? Not for others maybe. Some people meditate on the Lord during chanting. And some people also meditate on the Lord while chanting. And some people do not meditate on the Lord while chanting. Okay. So, our sadhana is damadol right now. Most of the time we are in karmic consciousness. And sometimes we are in devotee consciousness. Okay. But Radhakund is not a place like that. Radhakund is a place only where there is no place for karma, there is no place for jnana. There is pure loving devotion only to Radha and Krishna. Spontaneous loving. So Raganuga is, bhakti is for Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna cannot be approached by even the perfection of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. That is for the Vaikuntha Bhaktas who worship Narayana, form of the Lord. So Radhakund, that's why Radhakund may not be appreciated by Narayana Bhaktas. Radhakund is the forte of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So we'll talk more about that as we go along. So that's about this here. We'll read the next paragraph and then we'll go deep. Yes.
So you said that Vaidhi sadhana bhakti will also lead to Bhava bhakti, right? Bhava stage. So then why is that Vaidhi sadhana bhaktas cannot?
Vaidhi sadhana bhakti will lead to Bhava stage of related to Narayana. Not the two-handed form of Shyam Sundar.
Oh,
with Vaidhi sadhana bhakti we cannot approach Krishna and Radharani. It's not possible.
So how do we upgrade from Vaidhi sadhana bhakti to
upgrade? What is the in place upgrade? Was a lift and cloud. Which version?
Oracle version upgrade.
We can only apply support packs outside. In this whole life.
No, but how do we
cannot have a big bang.
How do we elevate from Vaidhi sadhana to Raganuga then?
How do we elevate from Vaidhi sadhana bhakti to Raganuga? First we have to clear the platform of anartha nivritti. We have to be free from lust. Otherwise there is no question of Raganuga. Right? As long as there is attraction for the opposite sex, including one's own wife, there is no question of Raganuga. First step is that. What Shankar Chandra Sadhikari hammers all the time. First we have to learn how to follow the 4 regulative principles, including married life. There is no question of Raganuga sadhana. So udhar hi atak jata hai almost. For many years people are stuck in that. Hopefully not many lifetimes.
So then all of us will go to Vaikuntha, right?
No, it's not.
No, you can
Plan B is it? Fallback option. What is a disaster recovery? Vaikuntha is not so cheap. For Vaikuntha also, spontaneous bhakti, okay, can be for Lord Vishnu also. Okay, but what we are talking about is the mode of Ragatmika, which is in following the wake of the gopis. Okay, even for going to Vaikuntha, one must be completely free from material desires. Okay, so that fact is true. But the problem with not the problem, but the mood of Sri Vaishnavas is that Lord, they have only Dasyaras. Okay. So their attraction is more for the 400 form of the Lord, for the Vaikuntha form of the Lord. Whereas for us, it is the 200 form of the Lord. That is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us Madhurya Ras, which is the highest. And that Ras is available in its full in Radhakund. Nowhere else. In Govardhan, Radhakund, that is fully available.
Okay, but we cannot take benefit of that.
We can take benefit of that, we should take benefit of that, we should visit Radhakund, we should hear about Radhakund. We should not take bath in Radhakund and live there prematurely, else we will fall down. That is a caveat which is given to us. For example, if His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj gives you a seva, saying that reside in Radhakund. For example, Radha Vallabh Prabhu was given a specific service. Okay, live in Mayapur and do some service. So he is doing that under the instruction of a spiritual master and he is doing a wonderful job there. Okay. So if we get a specific seva, if we get a tick from our spiritual master, we go and live. But if there is no service, we should not live in Radha. Because our heart is not pure. There also we will engage in the same activities what we do here. There also we will stand outside some pan shop near Radhakund and see whether Virat Kohli is hitting century against Australia. Whatever consciousness is here, we will go there. Or we will ask score kya hua. When Radhakund is right next to us, we will ask what is the score. Correct? And it is happening. When I went for Yatra, cricket match was going on. I saw all these things. Everyone is looking at the video match. Right? Next is Radhakund here. Govardhan is on the right side. Like that. So we will carry the same consciousness. We cannot go with this kind of consciousness. We should go for purifying ear lectures. Radhakund we have to understand through our ears. We should go to the Dham. But in the study of Radhakund, we go with senior devotees and hear from them. And then visit the places and come back. That's it. Let's go further. Of the text 11. Of the many objects of favored delight. Please hear carefully. Of the many objects of favored delight and of all the lovable damsels of Vrajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine kund is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kund is very rarely attained, even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. Who is an ordinary devotee? To attain. If one simply bathes once within those waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So, who will read? Jogase or fast?
Why is Radhakund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake Sri Radhakund is also described by great sages as the lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha himself.
Radha herself.
Indeed, Krishna's love to Radhakund and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Radhakund is very rarely attained. Even by great personalities fully engaged in devotional service, not to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in the practice of Vedic Bhakti.
Is it clear now?
It is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the way of the gopis if he once takes part in the Radha Kund. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radha Kund, he should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is the most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur writes in the connection that Sri Radha Kund is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service in the wake of the lady friends, sakhis and confidential serving maids, manjiris of Srimati Radharani. Living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental kingdom of God, Golok Vrindavan, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddha Deha, should live at Radhakund, take shelter of the confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction engage constantly in her service. This is the most exalted method for those engaged in devotional service under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this connection, Sri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narada and Sanaka do not get opportunity to come to Radhakund to take their bath. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radhakund and bathe even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna, exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radhakund and should be absorbed in the loving service of Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha, and in the same way as he contemplated during the life on the banks of Radhakund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhakund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is a difficult position to attain, even for the great sages and devotees like Narada. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radhakund. By serving Radhakund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis.
Question.
Yes.
He's saying that when you stay in Radhakund and then you will return back home back to Godhead, assisting Srimati Radharani and all, and you will be as you were contemplating during devotional service. So is this contemplation with respect to that Raga, Nuga, Sadhana?
So there are books which are written on how to do that contemplation. There is a book called Bhajana Paddhati. So these books give on how to meditate on the Ashtakaliya pastimes of the Lord. But right now we have to finish studying. Then we have to study. Then we have to study. Then we have to study. Bhajana. Sorry. Bhajana.
Is Radhakund a place for Goshtiyanandis at all or no? Is Radhakund a place for Goshtiyanandis at all or no?
Is Radhakund a place for Goshtiyanandis? Yes, Radhakund is a place for Goshtiyanandis.
So then in ISKCON we are taught to be Goshtiyanandis. That is what is our Prabhupada's desire.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
Nothing will happen.
Does that mean that every Goshtiyanandi will become a Bhajanandi at some point in time, or is it a internal and external?
There is no difference between Bhajananandi and Goshtiyanandi as far as the spiritual intensity is concerned.
Okay.
It is only the process which they follow sorry, not process also. There is no difference. It is only their exactly. Yeah. It's only their how much one wants to focus on oneself and how much one is compassionate.
Extrovert.
Not extrovert. Mood. Compassionate. Extrovert has got a tinge of socialization. Hi, how's it going? It's extrovert. Meeting a lot of people, being with people. No. This is compassion. This is meeting people for the purpose of giving them Krishna. Not for any other purpose. Not getting together for other purposes. Huh? What is that?
Not a sanguine.
Not a sanguine, correct. Not a sanguine, phlegmatic. What is that? Personality. Okay. So, what was the question? So yes, Goshtiyanandi is, so it's not about Goshtiyanandi and Bhajananandi. Goshtianandi, anyone who has got a spontaneous attraction for Krishna. The mood of a Bhajananandi is to go into a forest and retire into a Samaj, Bhajan Kutir and then worship. Whereas the Goshtianandi will still go to Radhakund, will still do his bhajan, but come out and then go out and preach. Charge himself, go out and then come back, go out, come back. Prabhupada was like that, no? Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, he was near Rupa Goswami Samadhi. Prabhupada then went from there to the Bauris. But when Prabhupada was told, Prabhupada, this is Bauri, they were embarrassed to show the place to Prabhupada. Okay? But Prabhupada said, no, this is the spiritual world, he said. Why? Because Prabhupada carried Radhakund, Vrindavan in his heart. So it's a state of mind also, in that sense. A state of mind can be, we can physically be in Radhakund and ask, score kya hai? Or we can be in the Bauris of New York and say this is the spiritual world, because we are carrying Radhakund wherever we go. So it's a state of consciousness. Consciousness is more important than physical aspects of the Dham. Of course, we are not undermining the importance of being in the physical Dham, but for that we need some qualification to go and reside there. Otherwise, Prabhupada said that you will carry your same monkey business in Radhakund. Prabhupada said, yeah. Okay. And actually, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati said, if you continue doing such activities, then you are not in, though you are living in Radhakund, you are living in Narakund. Very hard statement made by Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. Okay. So, this is the glory of Radhakund, the highest place on earth. You want to say something, but you are not sure whether to say it. No. You are twitching to say something. Okay. Any points? Yeah.
Oh, this verse emphasizes taking bath in Radhakund as compared to the previous where we said we should not take a bath. So what's...
Rupa Goswami is saying that out of compassion. Prabhupada is also writing in the purports that one must take a bath in... But yes, one can take a bath because many spiritual masters in ISKCON may allow. Some may allow to take bath. Okay. But some may not allow. Okay.
But Prabhupada is writing.
Generally, when Prabhupada also there, Prabhupada allowed devotees to take bath in Radhakund, but Prabhupada once observed that they were frivolously sporting and then he chastised them that stop this business. Now no longer, because when you give something and then the person takes advantage of that. You know what I mean? So then they go and engage, do all kinds of nonsense in that. Right? So Prabhupada then stopped. So we have been advised now not to take bath. Just like many devotees climb Govardhan Hill, but we don't climb Govardhan Hill. We just do parikrama. When have we climbed Govardhan Hill? Never. We don't climb Govardhan Hill. Even Mahaprabhu didn't climb, so therefore we don't climb. Because his feet should not touch. That is a mood. So we will follow whatever the Acharyas have told us. Okay. So taking bath in Radhakund, if we go in the proper consciousness, if we take as per the instructions of the spiritual master, if we take that, then it is as good as we have taken bath in Radhakund. For us, again I am saying, Shravanati Chitta Shuddhe Karila Udai. By constantly hearing, we take bath in Radhakund. By constantly hearing. Through the ears, we take bath. Right? And when we become pure enough, then we can go and take a dip. If the spiritual master permits, we go and take a dip there. So these instructions, as I said, Nectar of Devotion, someone was mentioning, it's both for the neophytes as well as the advanced devotees. So Prabhupada is writing for the people who are advanced, and Prabhupada is also writing for the people who are not advanced and become qualified now to go and take bath. Because ultimately you should take bath in Radhakund. Ultimately Prabhupada is recommending we take bath. But then we have to be ready. So Prabhupada is inspiring us to take bath in Radhakund. And our sadhana will reflect whether we are inspired or not by that instruction. Right? Our sadhana, seva, sadachar will reflect whether we are inspired or not.
Oh, another question.
It's kind of on the same lines, but it says clearly, it is stated that there is a pure devotee or something. It is stated that devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the day of gopis if he once takes a bath in Radhakund. Thinking of the same, consciousness is important. So it is talking about if you maintain the right consciousness, that's when it
what is the right
show its magic, otherwise it will not.
Correct. What is the right consciousness? One must be completely free from lust, envy, anger, greed, pride. One should be completely free from all this. then only one can enter Radhakund. In fact, I was going to say later, but I will preempt that point now. One should be completely free from Purusha Bhav. Then only one can go to Radhakund. Even Narad Muni could not enter the intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna and Radhakund. He had to take part in Kusum Sarovar, for which he needed special mercy from Lord Shiva. Right? Lord Brahma also doesn't have access. So therefore we have to understand. So we have to have a lot of devotional merits to recite that.
It's interesting to see that Prabhupada mentions about Narad Muni, so he's giving the message there. Even it is, he mentions here that it is not accessible to Narad Muni, then he is telling anybody go take bath. So,
so
for the advanced person, he will get the message of Narad Muni itself cannot go. Where will I go? I need to prepare myself.
Exactly.
So,
now you got it.
Yeah.
That's what Prabhupada is doing.
When you say attaining,
He's giving us a goal, but he is not giving us a carte blanche. It's carte blanche, clean chit. Chalo, jao, sab log Radhakund mein leke naam. Not like that.
and he builds into it.
What about Prabhu, that instead of, like, okay, I understand you sprinkling bath, but instead of taking the dip inside, like, a lot of time, like, you take a
Lota
and just, you can be respectful, like, at the same time, you're following the instruction.
Yeah, many people devotees do that also, because at least some spiritual masters say our feet should not touch Radha. Therefore we can't enter Radha. Khatam ho gaya udhar. And you can take lota and then put. But for us, we have been advised by our spiritual master, and I am not suggesting anyone do that, because it is what we have been told to take. Maybe it's a practical instruction also, because the yatra has got 5,000 people. Sab log lota mein डाला तो राधा कुंड में पानी नहीं है. So फिर take, and then people will not move. वो लोटा में फिर लेगा, then फिर towel से सब पहुँचते रहेंगे उधर बैठ के. अरे माता जी मेरा किधर गया, प्रभु जी आपका मेरा गायब हो गया. Open, something like that. Everyone will be running helter-skelter. It will cause inconvenience. Maybe because of that he has told that when you go there, simply keep moving fast. Question करो, debate लगाओ, चलो वहाँ से. Like that. Yeah.
We also went in a smaller group, but our Guru Maharaj also did not allow.
Did not allow.
So it's just
Very
sprinkle water.
We had gone in a small group also, but there I have heard in the lecture, very senior devotee had given. It is considered that the water of Radhakund is none other than Radharani herself, and we cannot touch her, and so we should not go and take bath. That's the main reason.
But प्रभु जी will say that sprinkling करने का टाइम भी तो तुम लोग टच करते हैं. ऐसा बोल सकते हैं प्रभु. बराबर है ना?
This is what I have heard in lecture from I don't know.
I put my beads like that and I put some water and then it drip on my head. That's all. But we understand the essence of instruction. That's all. Let's keep moving. Okay. Then we can ask some senior Vaishnavas when they come, sannyasis, if you want detailed questions.
Prabhu, what does taking shelter of Radhakund mean by?
Taking shelter of Radhakund means taking shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Getting into the mood, understanding the essence of being a Rupanuga, following the footsteps of the damsels of Raj. That is what is taking shelter of Radhakund. Following in the footsteps. Getting our devotional inspiration. After we discussed that, right? How do we migrate from Vaidhi to Raganuga? We choose one devotee who is a Ragatmika devotee and we follow in the footsteps. Raga Anuga. In the wake of their. And then we meditate on them and then we mold our life to do bhajan similar to how they did. Any one devotee we have to choose. That is what is called as taking shelter of Radha. That devotee should be attached to Radha. For us, that devotee is Srila Prabhupada. So we are following. Already ISKCON is all Prabhupada teachings.
Well, just say to attain Radhakund, it's very hard even for devotees Narada or some other great sages. That means attaining Radhakund means attaining Krishna Prem. And that's why Narada Muni is not in that mood and some other great sages may not be in that mood. Is that what it means? That's why it's
Actually,
so hard that great sages...
It is so hard, but it's not impossible for Narada Muni. Who is Narada Muni?
No, I'm just in that sense. This is
it's hard as long as So as long as we have knowledge of the Godhood of God, then Radhakund is not Radhakund will not manifest itself fully to us. That is what it means. Does it make sense? Not that Narad Muni who had lust, anger, envy, greed, pride. It is not in that sense. It says that as long as you have jnana, knowledge of Godhood of God, then you cannot enter the higher realms of rasa tattva. We can't have Madhurya rasa. If Radharani always thinks of Krishna as God and Lalita, nobody will ever, no pastime will be there. Radharani will never tell, I will not talk to you. She will say, please accept my humble obeisances. Dasanu dasan. That will be her mood. That's not her mood, unfortunately. Krishna is running behind her. Right? We saw last time. No? She gets angry with the Lord. No? Like that. So this is a different mood. So this is, whereas Narad Muni is a Vaikuntha Bhakta. You have to understand that. Though he is the spiritual master of everyone, but still his mood is more towards Lord Narayana. Alright. So, last time we saw, now what are the glories of Radhakund? So let's quickly take a mental parikrama of Radhakund. So we will appreciate why is Radhakund so great, like that. So Radhakund's appearance in the spiritual world we saw in the last class, right? Radhakund was created by the tears of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani when they were in separation of each other. We saw how Radharani was feeling so much separation that she took the form of Krishna and started running, saying Radhe Radhe. And Krishna was so much in separation that he took the form of Radharani, saying Krishna, Krishna, where are you? And Krishna is running behind himself. And then finally, they took bath in their own tears to come back to their own forms. And those tears created Shyamkund and Radhakund in the spiritual world. In the material world, how was it created? The pastime is that it happened in the month of Kartik when Lord Krishna was herding cows near Govardhan hill. Okay. So what happened at that time? Kamsa had sent this demon known as Arishtasur, who could change his form at will. So Arishtasur took the form of a gigantic bull and then he approached Lord Krishna. It is mentioned that he was so huge that he was as tall as a mountain and his tail was touching the clouds. So he approached Lord Krishna and then Lord Krishna caught him by the horns. Twice he attacked Lord Krishna and threw him and killed him in such a gory death that when he died, stool and urine he was passing as he was dying, like that. So that is Arishtasur killing. So when Arishtasur was killed, obviously he was a bull form. So Radharani came with all the gopis there and she told Lord Krishna, now you have killed cow, bull and cow. So you are Brahma, what is it? Gau Atya you have done now. So therefore we will not associate with you because you are a cow killer. Like that. So then Lord Krishna said that no, actually I am not a cow killer, it was a demon who I had killed. They said no arguments. Lord Radharani said that no, you have killed, so now you have to atone for it. So I am not convinced, so now you can atone for this killing only if you take bath in all the holy places. And what did Lord Krishna do? He said, I don't have to go to all the holy places, I will get all the holy places here. So what he did was, he struck his own heel to the ground and created a crater and he summoned all the holy rivers who came in their personified forms and then they filled their waters into that kund which was created by the hitting of Lord Krishna's heel. And then Lord Krishna himself went into that kund and took bath and came out and said that now I am purified. But what about you? He said, because you people have sided with demons, so you are also contaminated now. Now you have to purify yourself in all the holy waters. Like that. Okay. So that kund which Lord Krishna first created came to be known as Shyamakund. Okay. Then when Lord Krishna told this to Radharani, then Lord Srimati Radharani became very angry. That anger is called as Man. Okay. Man. That is called as transcendental anger. So she exhibited that Man. Okay. And what she did was, she saw in one corner a deep impression of Arishtasur's hoof print. Okay. So what she did, she took her bangles and she started digging that place. And soon what happened? All the gopis joined her and while digging what happened? There was a large crater or a kund crater which was established adjacent to Shyam Kund. Okay. And then what did Lord Krishna do? He offered to fill his own water there. He said, no, you have created a kund, but water, where will water come from? And then he offered to Radharani, I will give it. So Radharani said, no thanks. We don't want your water. It's contaminated. Okay. So they refused. Okay. So what happened was, she said that we are capable of getting our own waters. Okay. So I'll get all my Sakhis and Manjaris together and we will warm a line till Manasi Ganga. That's quite a distance. Okay. And then we will carry pots and we will fill our kunda. So she decided to do that. However, what happened was the holy places personified were listening to this. And what does the holy place personified? They are pure devotees. So they want to serve Radharani and Lord Krishna at every opportune moment. So they heard this, they realized that Radharani wants to fill this water. So they themselves asked for a boon from Srimati Radharani, saying that please allow us the benediction of filling your kunda, like that. And then Srimati Radharani, because she is very merciful, she accepted. And then what happens? The holy praises personified were already there in Shamkund. So all they had to do was break the banks between Radhakund and Shamkund, and water from Shamkund started flowing into Radhakund. And then Radharani and the gopis took their bath there, and Lord Krishna also jumped there. Okay. So that is the Radhakund and Shamkund appearance. So it is mentioned that one who takes bath will get Radha Bhav. One who takes bath in this kund. And this pastime, it is mentioned, happened at 11:45 p.m. in the night, 11:45 p.m. on the 8th day of Kartik month. This whole pastime happened. So this is the only kund in the world where we do Ardharatri Snan. Midnight bath. Like that. On which day? Bahulashtami. It's called Bahulashtami. Yeah. So that was the appearance of Radhakund. I'm going a bit fast because there are a lot of things to cover and we have half an hour. Okay. So that is the appearance of Radhakund in the material world. Now, though Radhakund appeared in this form, over a period of time, what happened? It became hidden from the covered in this material world. Okay. So what happened was Radhakund was lost with time. Now, one of the reasons, if we see, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, there are so many reasons to taste Piparalambha Bhav. That was the foremost reason. Then to inaugurate the Yuga Dharma, which is the Harinam Sankirtan. But one of the missions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to excavate the places which have got lost. So this was one of the reasons for Mahaprabhu's appearance. So when Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan and he was doing Govardhan Parikrama, he was sitting in that place which is called as Lord Chaitanya Baitak. If you go to Radhakund, I presume everyone has gone to Radhakund. When you enter Radhakund itself, you will see on the right hand side Lord Chaitanya Baitak. Okay, that is where he used to sit and meditate. Okay, where is Radhakund? Like that. And then he observed that. So in his meditation, this happened in a place, that place originally was called as Arishtagram. So he was meditating, and obviously it was not a kund there. So what was happening is that there were paddy fields which were used by local farmers. So Radhakund and Shamkund were nothing but paddy fields. Okay. In fact, the name was called as Gauri and Kari. Gauri means golden and Kari means blackish on Radharani. And so the place itself was called as Gauri and Kari. So when Lord Chaitanya came there, immediately, because through his transcendental vision, he knew that this is nothing else but Shamkund and Radhakund. These are not some ordinary paddy field waters. So he ran to that place and he took his bath. Not only that, he applied tilaka from that place all over his body. Then he took that mud and the water to Puri with him when he went. Okay. Not only that, he danced around the kundas. And then finally he offered obeisances to the paddy fields, and then he continued on his parikrama. Now, after some time, Raghunath Das Goswami, who is the most intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what happened was, Raghunath Das Goswami went to Vrindavan on the order of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, associated with Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. So, when Raghunath Das Goswami was meditating near those paddy fields, that time it is mentioned that the paddy fields were only 12 feet in diameter, just double 6-footer. That was a diameter. Two people, 6 feet. so small. So a thought entered his mind that how nice it would be, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has discovered this, how nice it would be if this can be excavated and enlarged. So immediately he saw visions of thousands and millions of people flocking to this place in future, like that. So he got this transcendental vision, and then he developed a deep inspiration to excavate this place. However, he immediately realized that excavating this place will require money, access to money. And he was, Raghunath Das Goswami had nothing to do with money. Though he was very wealthy, he left everything and came. So he said, forget it, and he condemned that thought and continued to do his bhajan. Now, parallelly, what was happening is, in Badrikashram, up there in the Himalayas, there was one king whose name was Samarpan. He was carrying a huge stash of money and wealth to offer to Badri Narayan in the Himalayas. Now what happened? Badri Narayan ji came in his dream and said, don't give this money here. You take this and go to Raghunath Das Goswami all the way to Vrindavan, and he's sitting there in a particular place. You go there and give him that. So he took all the money, he came to Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami refused. He said, no, I don't want any money. But when he explained his dream specifically, saying that this is Badri Narayan's desire, then immediately what happened? He accepted the money. And what did he do? Immediately he asked Jiva Goswami, who was junior to Raghunath Das Goswami, he asked Jiva Goswami to go and buy this land. So that is how they purchased. Jiva Goswami was involved in the purchase. It is said that the land deed is still there, even today, when it was purchased. Okay. And then, in the year 1545, this happened. And then the digging started happening. Okay, the excavation started happening. When the excavation started happening, what happened? As they excavated, they found self-manifested deities of Radha and Krishna came from there. And of that, those deities immediately were installed, and those are the first set of deities to be installed in Radhakund, and there is a mandir which has been created. Because it is very old, it is called as Purana Mandir. Purana Mandir. Like that. Now, what happened was, this all happened in 1545. Then few years later, 1591, there was one Raja of Jaipur, famous Raja, called as Raja Man Singh. Okay? Raja Man Singh, then he created the steps to Radhakund, and also he created he created steps, plus he also created a canal which linked Shamkund to Lalitakund, which was somewhere else. We'll talk about Lalitakund later, okay? Because he wanted to maintain even level of water across all the kundas. So he took that project. And then in 1817, many centuries later, there was a great devotee called Lala Babu, okay, who added more steps to that. It is said that while emptying, today Radhakund is emptied after every n number of years. I don't remember how many years, but anyone knows how many years it's emptied? Completely emptied. Okay. When it's emptied, today one can see the original steps which were constructed by Raghunath Das Goswami. It is still there. And one can also see the place where Radharani dug with her bangles. So that place within that Radhakund is called as Kanchan Kund. Also, devotees have seen milk coming out from the bottom. In fact, one devotee took that milk and then he kept it, and next day it became yogurt. Like that. So it is said that milk is coming from the milk ocean. Transcendental milk ocean. Okay. So now Radhakund, so Raghunath Das Goswami, having excavated Shamakund, having excavated Radhakund, which was squarish in shape, square or I think square, yeah, square in shape, almost square in shape. So he wanted the same shape to be there for the Shamakund also. But some trees were preventing that. So what happened? He ordered for cutting down some of the trees. As they went to cut down one of the trees, what happened? Not blood. Maharaj Yudhishthira, they were planning to cut the tree down next day. But Maharaj Yudhishthira came in the dream of Raghunath Das Goswami and told him that please do not cut, because we Pancha Pandavas are always meditating on Radha Krishna's pastime on the banks of Radha Kund. Just imagine. Therefore, don't cut us. So those trees are still there. If you see. Okay. So that is the other greatness. And then in the year 1576, after Raghunath Das Goswami did his job on Radha Kund, then he handed over further work to Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami then became the next Mahant of Radha Kund. Even today we have a Mahant of Radha Kund, but that Mahant is not from ISKCON. Babaji from outside of ISKCON. Mahant means the head of Radha Kund, the person who takes care of Radha Kund, who is vested with the responsibility for Radha Kund. There is one Anantadas Babaji Maharaj, who is today the Mahant of Radha Kund. As regards bathing at Radha Kund, in 1935, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami visited there, sprinkled only 3 drops of water on his head. Okay. So I already covered that, so I will not belabor. And he mentioned that Purusha Bhav has to go. So there are a lot of holy places in and around, when you do parikrama around Radha Kund, there are a lot of places that will come. One such kund is called as Malyahari Kund. Anyone remembers this? Malyahari Kund? Malyahari Kund is famous because once what happened, it was Diwali was going on. And Radharani, along with her Sakhis, they were stringing pearls for their cows, to decorate their cows. So Lord Krishna came there and he liked those pearls. So he went to the gopis and said, Mujhe bhi dena. Give me some pearls. Because I also want to decorate my cows. He had 2 cows, I forgot the name. Harini, something like that. Hamsi and Harini, is it? So he had 2 cows. So the Lord Krishna said, I also want. So what they did was, out of so many pearls they had, one broken pearl was there. So Lalita Sakhi came and told him, this is what is fit for your cows. You take this and do like that. So Lord Krishna was very upset with this. So what he did was, he went straight to Yashoda Mai and he said, what is this? I don't have any pearls. Okay. I have seen that when seed is sown in the ground, then tree gives the fruits of that seed. So you give me pearls, I will sow it on the ground and tree of pearls will come. So Yashoda mother immediately gave him, immediately she didn't give, first she laughed. Finally he was very insistent, so she gave him some pearls. Okay. So he took it, sowed it on the ground, and what he did, every day he used to put milk on that. And then first some shoots came up, and then when Gopi saw that, they laughed at Krishna. I said, what is this? Nothing has come out of this. But eventually what happened? Pearls came out. It's full of beautiful pearls, most opulent pearls came out of that. So what happened was, Lord Krishna took that and he decorated all his cows and he called the gopis specifically to witness that event. Okay. So when the gopis came, they said, can you give us these pearls? So he said, no, I don't have pearls enough for you because I have to decorate the monkeys also. Okay, so he decorated the monkeys also with the pearls. Okay, but he didn't give anything. So they were begging him, no, please give us some of these pearls. So what happened was, finally Subala was called to negotiate between the gopis. So that Lord Krishna said, I have to get a good price for these pearls. But all the negotiations failed. But finally, finally he knew that Radharani was upset. Okay, and that is enough for Lord Krishna. Okay, so finally Lord Krishna himself, what he did was, he decided, okay, I'll give you the pearls. So what he did, he personally engraved the name of each gopi in each pearl and he presented. And the most beautiful pearl he presented to Srimati Radharani. Okay. Of course, Srimati Radharani had already, I am not very good at pastime saying, so I apologize. But before that, Srimati Radharani also had that Abhiman. She said, if you can plant pearls, we will also do. But when they did, gopis did and put milk, thorny bushes came out. Then they had to come and negotiate with Subhadra. So that place is called as Malyahari Kund. That is a very beautiful pastime of Lord Krishna which took place there. Then we have Janava Mata's Baitak, which you can see. I'm sure all of you have visited. It's just on the banks of Radha Kund, there itself. Okay, it's nice to sit there and chant. Every time I go, I wander around at least there. Janava Mata Baitak. So this is the place where Janava Mata, who is none other than the consort of Lord Nityananda, like that. So she used to sit here, and this is the place where she met Jiva Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami, those days when Janava Mata visited, that time Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami had left the world, and Raghunath Das Goswami was in tatters virtually. He was looking like a beggar. Okay, he was not at all he had no conception of bodily conception, because all he wanted was to give up his life, because there is no life without Rupa and Sanatan. So there was, so when Janava Mata came in front of him, it was so much tears that he couldn't even see her, like that. So he was in a very, very disheveled state. So it is mentioned that only after seeing Janava Mata did he get some consolation out of his virahata from Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So she gave the darshan on this place during the Janava Baitak. Now, while on the banks, when she was meditating on the banks here in Janava Baitak, she had darshan of Lord Gopinathji, where Lord Gopinath was playing flute under a tamal tree. Okay. Now, to commemorate this vision, okay, then the devotees installed a Lord Gopinathji deity and a temple next to the Baitak. You can see that. It's called Radha Gopinath temple. It's called Gopinath temple. You can go there and see that. Okay. So, Janava Mata is in Krishna Leela. Who is she? She is the sister of Radharani, Ananga Manjari. So, in Chaitanya Leela, she came as the consort of Lord Nityananda. Now, again near Radhakund is the Raghunath Das Goswami's Samadhi. Again, all of you might have seen that, whoever visited. What happens there 24 hours? Kirtan. Very beautiful Kirtan happens there. You can say, go any time, Kirtan is going on. Raghunath Das Goswami's Samadhi. Like that. Then in Radhakund also, near Radhakund, is what is called as the Jiva Mandir. Jiva means what? Tongue. Okay. Jiva Mandir. Now, what happened was when Raghunath Das Goswami finished excavation of Radhakund and Shamukund, okay, he also wanted some well where the Vrajavasis can wash their clothes and clean their utensils. Okay, so they started excavating in a nearby place for the well. When they were excavating, one day they hit a rock. The workers hit a rock. When they hit the rock, what came out from the rock? Blood started coming out from the rock. So they were completely bewildered. So they came rushing to Raghunath Das Goswami, who immediately realized that some grave aparad has happened in the dham. That's why blood is coming out from a rock. In the same night, Girirajji came to him and said, please do not hit this rock because this is my tongue. This is the tongue of Govardhan. But you can remove it and worship it. So that rock is removed and the temple was built, and Lord Girirajji gave a benediction that anyone who circumambulates that tongue 7 times, in short that rock 7 times, it's akin to one Govardhan Parikrama. Right? 7 times you do means one Govardhan Parikrama. So Radhakund is also the place of Teen Goswami Samadhi. Teen Goswami Samadhi means who are the 3 Goswamis? They are Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. Why it's called as Teen Samadhi? Because all of them disappeared on the same day, albeit different years. So that's there are Teen Samadhis. You will find that behind. Just behind Radhakund, if you go up, like that, you will find all the Samadhis. Then this is also the place of Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Bhajan Kutir. That also you will find nearby. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is none other than Guna Manjari in Krishna Leela. So you will find his Bhajan Kutir. Then you will also find the Bhajan Kutir of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. What is the speciality of, what is the association of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami with Radhakund? When Raghunath Das Goswami came to the banks of Radhakund, every day what he will do? He will give 3 hours of lecture. Okay, near the Janava Baitak, somewhere there, every day he will give 3 hours lecture on Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. So a lot of people used to attend those lectures. One such person was an old man who was 91 years old at that time, or 96 years old. So he used to come and he used to make notes every day from what Raghunath Das Goswami used to speak about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those notes became Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it is at these banks that Chaitanya Charitamrita was scripted originally. What is the name? What is that? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Okay. Don't ask it in public. Who wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita? Next time Vedas Prem Maharaj comes, I'm going to tell him. All your, parikramas to Gold Coast and everything will come to Maharaj will give you instruction to sit at home and study. Good. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go forward. Okay, because we have only 10 minutes. Okay. Then Raghunath Das Goswami's Bhajan Kutir is also there. Not only his Samadhi Mandir, but his Bhajan Kutir is also there. What is the speciality of this Bhajan Kutir? So Raghunath Das Goswami, all of us know he was a very austere person. So he used to sit in the sweltering heat of the summer, and he used to chant the holy names with full attention, and he was not at all in his senses at that time. Though it was Vrindavan heat, summer heat. Okay. So one day when he was doing, 2 tigers came there to drink water. And what happened? Who was standing guard? Lord Krishna himself stood guard so that the tigers don't harm Raghunath Das Goswami. And who saw that, witnessed that scenario? Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami incidentally came there. He saw Raghunath Das Goswami chanting like this, and behind was Lord Krishna with a stick and those 2 tigers water. Okay. So immediately he chastised Raghunath Das Goswami. He says, how can you do that? Lord Krishna has to come and serve you now. He has become your security guard. You are his servant. So this is not good. And he chastised him. But still Raghunath Das Goswami did not hear. Still he continued chanting there. Okay. And one day the sweat heat was so much that Srimati Radharani couldn't bear. So she took her anchal and then she kept it on his head and she was holding it, and again Sanatan Goswami came to that spot and he saw that, and this time he went right through Raghunath Das Goswami. He said, this is not at all acceptable because Radharani is also coming and serving you. Okay. Now when he heard that Radharani is serving him, he became very morose and he accepted, saying that, okay, Sanatan Goswami said, you have your own Bhajan Kutir here and you do it so that they don't have to serve you. And that is how that Bhajan Kutir came about. Okay. It was in this Bhajan Kutir that many pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami happened. Okay. So one day, buttermilk was offered to Raghunath Das Goswami because he used to drink only 1 cup of buttermilk, right? So someone offered him in the banana leaf cup. When Raghunath Das Goswami saw that, what did he do? He threw it. He threw it away. Okay. Why? Because that leaf cup had come from Chandravali's camp. Okay. Who is the opposite? What is the left wing, right wing gopis? No? So which showed that he was always in Krishna Smaran, even though he was in his material body. He in the past in his Manasa mental in the internal Leela, it came from Chandravali's camp, so he threw it. This happened there. And the other pastime happened of the sweet rice. Raghunath Das Goswami never ate anything, but one day he fell sick and he didn't come for giving those 3-hour class. Okay, so devotees are wondering, where is he? So someone said he is having indigestion because of overeating. The physician said, what overeating? He is only having so much of buttermilk in a day. Okay, that is not overeating, right? So then when the physician confirmed, no, 100% is overeating. Then they came to know that, they asked Raghunath Das Goswami himself, who said that in his meditation, sweet rice he prepared for Radharani, and then in the festival, mentally he consumed lot of kheer, because of which he had indigestion. So all that is this Bhajan Kutir. So that is also there on the banks of Radhakund. And then we have Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhajan Kutir, also on the banks of Radhakund. And it is mentioned that outside Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhajan Kutir, there is what is called as a Pilu bush, which is growing near this kutir. It's called as a Pilu bush. Okay. So this Pilu bush is growing near this kutir. Now this Pilu bush is nothing but that same pearl pastime. Initially when the bushes came out, so the pearls came on this Pilu bush. Okay. But actually that bush is nothing but a Brahmana who was a devotee of Lord Krishna and Radharani, but in Kashi. So he wanted a benediction that he will be on the banks of Radhakund and eternally serve them. So the Brahmana got a benediction, so he appeared as a Pilu bush, and he appeared during that time when Lord Krishna sowed those pearls like that. So that is there near Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhajan Kutir. So he meditated there. Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Bhajan Kutir is also there near Radhakund. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur's house is there in Mayapur. What is the name of that house? Swanand Sukhada Kunj. Everyone knows that. But there is another Swanand Sukhada Kunj in Radhakund also. It's called as Vraja Swanand Sukhada Kunj. Vraja Swanand Sukhada Kunj. So this was established in 1900. And it is said that not only Bhakti Vinod Thakur, but later on his son Bhakti Siddhas Saraswati Goswami Maharaj also used it as his Bhajan Kutir. Okay? And there is a Pushpa Samadhi of both Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati as well as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati as well as Bhakti Vinod Thakur over here. I don't know how many of you have gone there. I had the opportunity of going there twice. No? You will find the bed, you will find walking stick, you will find the paduka, everything you will find. Okay? I don't know who did that. I think the Yogeshwar, no, not Yogeshwar. Who did that? Somebody I went with. And all of us were wondering, Prabhu, mera sar mein rakho na paduka. And someone summed up the courage and took it and kept it on our head. I don't know who did that.
Raja.
Huh?
Raja.
I don't know. Someone in the Leela, in our someone did that. Okay, it was here that Srila Prabhupada also visited Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. That's important to remember. It is here where Srila Prabhupada also visited Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and accompanied him on his morning walks. Okay? Because Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was doing bhajan here in this kutir. So he accompanied him on the morning walks around the kundas. And it is at this place that Srila Prabhupada got an instruction from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that if you ever get money, print books. Okay. Then we have Jiva Goswami's Bhajan Kutir in Radhakund. Jiva Goswami is none other than Vilasa Manjari in Krishna Lila. Then we have Lalita Kund. Lalita Kund is the kund of Lalita Sakhi. So here 6 murders are washed off if you bathe in this kund. 6 types of murders. One is cow murder, Gau Hatya. Then is Brahman. If you have killed a Brahman, then Brahma Hatya. Then if you have killed a baby. So there is cow, Brahmana, baby, suicide. Okay, suicide. And then man or woman. Suicide
attempt or?
Huh? I don't know. We have to ask the police station there. Go to the local police station. And then, okay. Cow, Brahmana, baby, suicide, man, woman, insects and worms. This will come in your exam as fill in the blank. Please note down. So all these 6 types of murders are washed off in Lalita Kund. So the same Lalita Sakhi came in Chaitanya Lila as Swarup Damodar Goswami. It is said that in this Lalita Kund, it is full of turtles which have come all the way from Siberia. Don't ask me how they have come. Lufthansa or Aeroflot, I don't know. But somehow the turtles are there, it is mentioned like that. I don't know where they manifested from. Then along the banks of Radhakund is Madhavendra Puri Baithak. This is the place where Madhavendra Puri was taking rest. And then who came there? A cowherd boy came and said, why are you, you are so tired, you are not eaten anything, and gave him a pot of milk. And then he said that, how do you know I am here? He said, no, some Brajavasi women, I am there living in the next village, they gave me. And it was only in the night, in the dream, that Madhavendra Puri realized it was none other than the Lord himself. And then the Lord instructed him, go to Govardhan Hill and excavate my Gopalji deity, which he excavated, and then because of the Muslim invasion, it was taken to Nath Dwara, and now it is called as Srinathji. Okay, so the place where this originated last time is Madhavendra Puri Baithak. Again, it is on the banks of Radhakund. Okay, then there is Mahaprabhu Baithak, which I have already discussed, where Mahaprabhu sat under the Tamala tree and he was meditating on the paddy fields. So that is also there. And then there is another place. There are so many, but I am just ending here because 9:50. There is Imlital. This Imlital is a very beautiful pastime. Okay, So here in Imlital, once Rupa Goswami, it's mentioned two things. Some say Rupa Goswami, some say Sanatana Goswami. One of the Goswamis was meditating there. Okay, and in his meditation, of course, the other people around could not witness anything, but Rupa Goswami could see. Suddenly he saw that at this spot, Imlital, there was a jhula which came. There were two trees, and between the two trees was a jhula, a swing, and it was adorned with all celestial gems. And then what happened? All the Sakhis came there, and Manjaris came there, and they brought Radharani there and Krishna there. Okay, so Krishna and Radharani were sitting. Now the way that jhula was constructed was that both the people who sit on the jhula have to face each other. That is how the jhula is designed. Okay, so Krishna sat and Radharani sat. Okay, so initially Radharani refused to sit because she was afraid of that swing. Okay, so what happened was Radharani didn't want to go on this jhula because swinging. So, but Krishna assured her, no, nothing to worry. What is that? Small, like this. So Radharani sat there because Sakhis, they assured her, no, nothing will happen. You sit. So gently what happened? Lord Krishna started swinging. Okay, and Radharani then was very comfortable in the jhula. Okay, and she was very happy. When Lord Krishna saw that it was like that, what did he do? He started kicking the jhula a little bit more. So it started swinging a little bit more. So she started yelling. Okay. When she started yelling, what happened?
Little bit more.
Little bit more. And then so much he was swinging that it was almost going till the top, and Radharani felt it will almost overturn. So what happened? She tightly hugged Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna, when she hugged, he actually kicked it even further, so it took a whole rotation and came down. Now seeing Radharani yelling like this, all the Sakhis started laughing, and Krishna was also laughing. And seeing this, Rupa Goswami was witnessing this pastimes, he also started laughing like that. And as he started laughing, suddenly everything disappeared. Okay, and he saw those two trees, the jhula was gone, but because of the force of the jhula, okay, all those twigs were intertwined. It was completely joined together. So that place is called as Imlital. It is now said that that joint twigs place, some vestiges of that are left out, but largely it has disappeared. Okay, so even today you can see some traces of those twisted branches. So that is Imlital. So many nectarian pastimes of Lord Krishna are taking place in Radhakund. So that is why it is considered as the highest place of parikrama. So then it should be our desire to go there, to qualify ourselves, go there and take bath and reside there someday, in this lifetime or in some other lifetime. Shri Radhakund ki Ramakund ki Giri Govardhan Vrindavan Prabhupada